I think that you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say that I rang a large corporation recently and I was left on hold for quite some time. I'm sure that you too have been there as well. It's quite common these days. However, to many of us who have been caught on hold, as it were, it becomes frustrating because we have better things to do with our time rather than sitting there waiting. There is a common statement regarding people waiting on hold, and that is this: I do not feel valued. I think that I'm just a number. When I look at the figures, I can understand why. Did you know that Australians spend nearly 100 million hours per year on hold? What can I say? Of course, there are other times when we feel unvalued as well, such as those times when we may miss out on the invitation to a special party and everyone else is going, or when we're overlooked for that what we see as a tailor-made position in our work, the one we applied for, and we were qualified as well. That can bite. None of this is new though. Consider Joseph. Last week we spoke about him being thrown into prison through no fault of his own. You can understand, I'm sure, that all of us have been at one time or another blamed for something that we didn't do. Potiphar, well, he'd been extremely trusting of Joseph because the favour of God rested on Joseph and it showed in everything that he did. Joseph was honest and faithful and trustworthy in all that he did. However, Potiphar's wife literally did the dirty on him, accusing him unfairly, which led to his imprisonment with no right of reply. So when something like that happens to you, what do? Do you scream and shout, "This shouldn't be happening? This is not fair"? No, it's not fair. But it doesn't mean that God has abandoned you. He never leaves us on our own. Listen to Deuteronomy 31:8. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you, and he will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Did you hear that? That's a promise, and it's something to hold on to. So there's Joseph in prison, and he's continuing to be happy and content despite his circumstances as he goes about his work. Genesis 39:21-23 puts it like this: But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favour in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. The keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. Circumstances and surroundings did not worry Joseph. He knew God and he knew that God was with him, no matter what. I recall visiting a large industrial facility once, and one of the cleaners took me and walked me up the backyard and showed me the toilets. He was responsible for their cleanliness. I remember him saying, with pride, "These are the cleanest toilets in this town." He was making a difference despite the circumstances and the surroundings, and despite being a job that very few other people wanted. He had work that allowed him to care for his family, and he was so happy to be doing those menial tasks and living a full life. Paul says in Philippians 4:11-13, I have learned in whatever situation I'm in to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to be abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger and abundance and need. I can do all things through him, that's Jesus, who strengthens me. Oh, there's so much to think about here. Even when it seems that our life is on hold, or when we feel forgotten, remember that God is with us. Have a wonderful week and be blessed.